Pick a path with me, and do it before your mind starts listing every reason to stay exactly where you are. Your choice reveals a pattern you repeat without noticing the way you move when life puts a crossroads in front of you. Maybe you freeze and wait for a sign. Maybe you rush down the first road just to escape the pressure. Maybe you keep walking the same old route, even though part of you knows it no longer fits. In Jung-style psychology, symbols are the language of the unconscious, and a path is one of its clearest images for destiny, choice, and growth. This gentle Jungian test is not here to judge your past. It is here to show you how you secretly decide your future, what you call possible for yourself and what you silently rule out. I want to stand next to you for a few minutes like a friend on the side of the road and help you see the map your soul has been trying to draw under all the noise and fear. Now pause the urge to analyze and play a small game with me. Look at the 5 paths on your screen: the steady road, the forest trail, the steep climb, the winding way, the wild horizon. Let your eyes wander for a moment and notice which one your body leans toward first. Do not overthink this. Do not make it logical. Do not try to pick the path you think you should be on. Do not overthink. Choose one path from 1 to 5 and lock it in, like a quiet promise between us. First sensation is greater than logic here, so trust the pull more than the explanation. Keep your number safe because we are about to open the story that has been living under your usual choices. In a moment, I will begin reading what each path says about the direction of your life, the comfort you cling to, the risks you avoid, and the kind of future you are secretly moving toward. But I do not want this to be just another video that feels deep and then disappears. I want it to become something you can actually walk with. So stay with me until the end, because after you hear your path and the others, I will connect your choice to one clear and simple step you can take in the real world to honor what you discover. Only in the last part, when we bring all 5 paths together, will the full meaning of your number appear, and you will see why your intuition picked that road and what your next chapter is quietly asking from you now. If you chose one, this often shows up when you crave a clear direction, but still end up choosing the safest version of your own future. Stay with me and look at this path in your mind again, a warm tunnel of trees, the road straight, the light at the end, bright and certain. In a simple Jungian way, this is the symbol of the inner guardian, the part of you that wants life to make sense, to follow a plan, to move step by step towards something solid. The glow at the end is your hope for a meaningful destination, a life that feels stable and worth the effort. The shadow is hidden in how straight the path is. You may quietly believe there is only one correct way for your story to go, and if you ever step off that route, you will lose everything you have built. So you walk forward, reliable and steady, but often ignoring the side trails that call your name because they look risky, strange, or hard to explain to other people. Notice this, because it explains why you can feel both grateful and strangely restless at the same time. Think of a normal week. Maybe at work or in school, you get an idea to try something different, a new field, a side project, a course, a small move towards something creative or more aligned with your heart. For a moment, your chest lights up like the end of this path. You imagine yourself there, and it feels alive. Then the old thoughts arrive. It is not practical. People are counting on me. I should be grateful. What if I waste time? You straighten your shoulders, close the tab, and throw yourself back into what you already know how to do. Friends might even admire your discipline and loyalty. They see the dependable person who sticks to the plan. What they do not see is the quieter scene later, when you are lying in bed, scrolling through other lives, feeling a small ache and telling yourself you are silly for wanting more. You do this more often than you admit, choosing the sure thing over the small risk, even when something in you whispers that the sure thing is slowly draining your spirit. From a gentle pop psychology point of view, your pattern is about control and safety, not lack of ambition. In Jung language, your ego built a straight path to protect you from chaos, failure, and judgment. Maybe you grew up around instability or criticism and learned that being sensible, stable, and predictable kept you safe and respected. That part of you is not wrong. It gave you structure. The problem is when structure becomes a cage. Your shadow holds the pieces of you that want to explore, play, change direction, or admit that what once fit no longer does. When those parts are pushed aside, they do not vanish. They show up as boredom, resentment, daydreams you never act on, or sudden fantasies of escape. Here is the quiet truth: your life does not have to be burned down, but it does need room to breathe. Today, choose one repeating area of your routine and take a single step that is slightly braver than your usual choice, then follow through before the day ends. It could be saying yes to a new responsibility that excites you instead of the safe one that numbs you, or saying no to a task you only do out of duty so you can use that time for a small step towards something you actually want, like researching a new path, sending one message, or signing up for a simple class. Make it specific and doable, and notice how your body feels when you honor that spark instead of shutting it down. That one action will not destroy your stability. It will teach your nervous system that you can stay grounded and still let your direction evolve. Each time you do this, the straight road of your life keeps its strength, but it becomes your choice, not your prison, and the light at the end starts to feel like it belongs to you again. If you chose to, this tends to appear when you feel pulled towards something deeper, but keep getting lost in everyone else's plans. Stay with me. Look at this path again in your mind: a dark blue forest, steps glowing softly, the moon watching from above like a quiet guide. It is beautiful and a little lonely. In simple Jung-style language, this is the path of the inner seeker, the part of you that wants a life that feels true in your chest, not just impressive on paper. The light on the ground is your intuition, showing you one small step at a time. The shadows on each side are all the fears and opinions you have absorbed from family, friends, and the world about what your life should look like. Desire and fear walk side by side here. You long for a direction that is yours, but you are scared that if you really follow it, you will confuse people or disappoint them or discover you are not as capable as you hope. Notice this tension, because it explains why you often feel both full of ideas and strangely stuck. Imagine a normal day. You wake up with a quiet wish, maybe to write, to study something different, to change cities, to take your spiritual life more seriously, to work with art or healing or a field that is not the obvious choice in your circle. The thought comes like a flash of blue light, then your mind quickly pushes it aside. Instead, you check your phone and see what everyone else is doing. You scroll through other people, careers, relationships, bodies, travels, and suddenly your own inner path feels small and foggy. When someone asks how things are going, you talk about safe topics, your job, your tasks, your plans that sound sensible. You do not mention the dream in your chest because you already hear the possible reactions in your head. Are you sure that is realistic? What about money? What about security? So you keep walking down the path that makes sense to everyone else and tell yourself you will explore your real direction later, when things are calmer or clearer. Here is the twist. Later never comes by itself. You have to choose it. Until you do, your days can look full while your soul feels like it is wandering in the woods, looking for a light only you can see. From a gentle pop psychology point of view, this is not failure. It is a form of avoidance that once protected you. Maybe when you were younger, your sensitivity or your unusual interests were not understood. Maybe you were praised when you followed the expected route and questioned when you wanted something different. So part of you learned to watch other people's paths and walk near them even when your inner compass was pointing somewhere else. Jung would say your shadow now holds the wild, honest parts of you that want a different pace, a different line of work, a different way of living. Those parts come out in daydreams, in late-night searching, in the quiet sadness you feel when you imagine 10 more years of your life looking exactly the same. The good news is that this blue path is not yelling at you. It is inviting you one step at a time. You do not need a full map. You just need to stop pretending you are happy being lost. Today, give yourself 10 to 20 minutes alone with no noise and no screens and let your real direction speak. Take a notebook or the Notes app and write at the top. If I was brave enough to walk my own path, it would lead me toward, and keep the sentence going until you have at least 10 lines. Do not worry if they seem unrealistic or messy. When you finish, choose one tiny step from that list that you can act on this week, sending one email, researching one course, setting aside one regular hour for your craft, or simply saying out loud to a trusted person what you actually want. Commit to that step before you close your eyes tonight. It will look small from the outside, but inside it is huge. It is you putting your foot on the glowing part of the path instead of wandering at the edges. Every time you repeat this, your life shifts a few degrees closer to the direction your soul has been pointing to all along. If you chose 3, it usually means you have learned to move toward pain instead of away from it, because some part of you believes that the hardest road is the only one that leads to respect. Look at this path in your mind again. The rocks burning the sky on fire, the huge face watching from above like a judge. It is intense, dramatic, and honestly a little terrifying, and yet something in you said, yes, that one. In a simple Jung test way, this is the path of the inner fighter, the part of you that feels most alive when there is something to battle, climb, or fix. The flames are your anger, your drive, your passion. The monster shape in the fire is the way you see failure or weakness as an enemy you must never become. So you keep walking into challenges that hurt you just to prove to yourself that you can take it. People may call you strong, and they are not wrong, but they do not always see the cost of living like your life is one long boss level. Imagine a work or study day that turns into a quiet war. You already have enough on your plate, but someone drops another task on you, maybe a crisis, a deadline, a favor. Inside you know it is too much. Your body is tired, your mind is foggy, your heart wants to say no. But that old story rises: if I can just push through this, I will be safe. I will be worthy. I will not be like those who give up. So you say, sure, I got it, and you armor up with coffee, sarcasm, or music and go straight into the fire. Hours later, you're exhausted, buzzing on stress and pride at the same time. Here is the twist: you were never supposed to live in emergency mode forever. You just got used to it. Maybe a long time ago you really did need that warrior energy to survive a rough family, a tough neighborhood, a painful relationship. But now the danger is not outside anymore. It is the way you accept every burning path as if you have no choice. From a pop psychology angle, this can look like self-sabotage or workaholism or choosing chaotic partners. In Jung language, we could say your persona is the hero who can handle anything, and your shadow is the soft, scared self who does not want to fight all the time. You push that softer self down so nobody can call you weak, and so you do not have to feel how tired you really are. Yet watch what happens next. Whenever life offers you a calm, easy path, a kind person, a simple job you can do well, you start feeling restless or suspicious. You look for something wrong, or you pick a new fight, or you walk away before it gets real. Comfort almost feels more threatening than struggle, because in comfort, you would have to face your feelings instead of outrunning them. The truth your unconscious is trying to show you with this image is not that you are doomed to suffer. It is that your courage is real and precious, and it deserves better battles. You do not have to keep proving that you can walk through fire. You have already done that more than enough. The next stage of your story is about choosing challenges that actually build the life you want, instead of just burning you up so you can say you survived again. This is what simple shadow integration looks like, letting the strong part and the gentle part of you choose together. Which fights are worth your time? Today, choose one area where you have been standing in the flames out of habit and make a clear decision about it, even if it scares you. It could be saying, I am not taking on this extra task anymore, or I am done chasing this one-sided connection, or I am finally committing to a healthier routine instead of pulling all-nighters. Pick one and do the concrete step that matches that choice. Send the message, set the boundary, cancel the obligation, or sign the new agreement. Do it once and let it stand. That single act is you stepping off a path of constant battle and onto a road where your strength is used to build something instead of just survive something, and the fire in you can finally become warmth and power instead of endless war. If you chose 4, it often means you are torn between wanting to dive into a new life and needing to keep one hand on the emergency brake, afraid that if you fully say yes to your own path, you will lose something or someone important. Look at this image again in your mind: a deep green tunnel, a cave that looks like a womb, and a portal at the same time, crystals glowing softly on the sides, light opening at the far end. In a simple Jungian way, this is the path of the inner treasure hunter, the part of you that knows there is gold in your depths, but is still scared of what has to change on the surface if you go all in. The light ahead is your intuition, calling you into a more authentic chapter. The dark walls around you are all the old fears, stories and expectations that whisper, "Be careful, do not go too far, do not become someone nobody recognizes." So you hover in the doorway, half exploring, half holding back, and this is the pattern your choice is bringing into focus. Think of a specific scene. Maybe there is an opportunity around you right now, a move, a course, a new job, a deeper relationship, a healing process, a creative project. Every time you think about it, your chest glows for a second. Just like the green crystals on this path, you can almost see yourself there. Then your mind rushes in with questions. What if it changes my friendships? What if my family does not understand? What if I invest my time, energy, money, and it does not work? So instead of a clear decision, you do something quieter. You research it again, you ask one more opinion, you tell yourself you are waiting for the right moment. Outwardly, you seem thoughtful, balanced, even wise. Inside, you know you are circling the same entrance over and over. You probably do this more than you realize, postponing choices that would actually move your life forward, because staying in the maybe feels safer than risking a real yes or a real no. From a pop psychology angle, people might say you have commitment issues or fear of change, but that misses the tenderness underneath. In Jung test language, your ego is trying to protect your current identity while your deeper self is trying to grow. The persona you show is the grounded one, the responsible friend, the reliable child, the partner who does not rock the boat. Your shadow holds the part who wants to experiment, rest, say no, follow strange interests, or choose a quieter, slower lifestyle than others expect from you. When that shadow is ignored, it leaks out through sudden urges to disappear from everything, through secret fantasies of starting over in another city, through emotional shutdown when people ask too many questions. Here is the twist. The path in this image does not lead into chaos, it leads into a hidden valley of your own truth. What you are really afraid of losing is not safety. It is control over how others see you once you start honoring what you actually want. Shadow work here is simple and gentle. It is about setting boundaries not only with other people, but with your own fear that says, if I choose for myself, I am selfish or ungrateful. You are allowed to honor the life that calls you and still care about those around you. Watch what happens next when you start making small, clear choices instead of endless, almost decisions. Some relationships will adjust and deepen because they get to meet the real you. Others may pull away because they were attached to your old role, and that will sting, but it will also free up space for connections that match who you are becoming. Today, choose one situation where you have been hovering at the entrance and give it a clear answer from your soul, not from your fear. Say yes to the invitation course project or trip that you secretly want, and take one concrete step, like paying a deposit or sending a confirmation. Or say no to the planned duty or role that drains you, and send the message that closes that door with simple, honest words. Do not soften it with maybe later if you know the real answer. This single yes or no is you stepping fully onto the green path and trusting that the light ahead is there for a reason. Each time you repeat this, your life becomes less about controlling every risk and more about walking with yourself into the places where your real treasure has been waiting. If you chose 5, it often means some brave part of you is already done living the same story and is secretly planning its escape, even while you keep smiling and saying everything is fine. Picture this path again in your mind. Arches of trees, glowing pink flowers on both sides, the air full of tiny sparks of light. It looks like the entrance to a softer universe where life is allowed to feel beautiful again. In simple Jung-style language, this is the road of individuation, the journey from the version of you that was built to please and survive into the version of you that actually fits your soul. The light at the end is not fantasy. It is your own potential shining back at you. The shadow is in the part of you that whispers, "This is too much to hope for. I do not deserve a life that feels this gentle." So you stand at the beginning of the path with one foot forward and one foot stuck in old habits, wondering if you are allowed to walk toward joy on purpose. Think of a real scene from your days. There is something you keep circling, a change that would make your life kinder to live. It might be leaving a job that eats your energy, changing the way you treat your body, starting therapy or spiritual work, ending a draining connection, or fully committing to a passion project you always push to the edge. On quiet nights, you see yourself in that new chapter so clearly that your chest aches. You imagine waking up lighter, talking to people who actually get you spending your hours on things that match your heart. For a few minutes, you feel the pull of this pink glowing path and you almost move. Then your mind starts playing old warnings. What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I ruin everything good I already have? You close the page, leave the message unsent. Promise yourself you will think about it again later. Days pass. Nothing explodes, but nothing changes either, and that is its own kind of pain. You do this more often than you like to admit, especially with decisions that would treat you better. From a pop psychology angle, people might say you are self-sabotaging, but that does not touch the tenderness underneath. In a Jungian sense, there is a deep inner conflict between your persona and yourself. Your persona learned to be manageable, to work hard, to accept crumbs of happiness, and call it enough to avoid rocking the boat. Yourself, the center of who you really are, is pulling you toward a life that matches your values and your gifts, even if it looks different from what others expect. Individuation is just the process of letting those two talk and then daring to act from the wiser one. Right now, the old pattern wins whenever you choose comfortable suffering over risky change. Yet notice this turning point inside you. You are starting to hurt more from staying than you are from imagining the leap. That growing imbalance is not a failure. It is a sign that the season of repeating is ending. There is a moment in every transformation where things go from maybe to now, and this is what your path is hinting at. The flowers all around you are like every small possibility you have, ignored, each skill, each love, each desire, waiting to be picked up and carried forward. The light in the distance is not promising a perfect life full of easy days. It is promising a real life, where your actions finally match what you know about yourself on the inside. The mini-climax of your story does not have to be loud. It can be one small, clean choice that you cannot quietly undo tomorrow. When you make that choice, you cross an invisible line. Your energy stops being split between old and new and begins to flow in one clear direction. People may not understand at first, and fear will definitely speak up, but something in you will also whisper finally. Today, choose one concrete step toward the life you keep seeing on this path and make it irreversible in a gentle way. Send the message that starts or ends the conversation you have avoided. Book the appointment that belongs to your next chapter, or remove from your space a group of objects that tie you to an identity you no longer want, and actually let them go, not back into a drawer but out of your world. Do it within the next short block of time so your mind has less room to talk you out of it. That single act is you putting your feet on the glowing stones instead of just staring at them. Once you do it, you cannot go back to pretending you did not hear your own soul calling. And from that day on, each step becomes a little easier because you are no longer walking toward a dream, you are walking inside it. No matter which path you chose, the bright, safe road, the blue moonlit trail, the fiery canyon, the green crystal tunnel, or the pink garden of change, there is one thread running through all of them. You have been trying to move forward while also protecting yourself from the very thing you say you want. Each path is a different way of dancing with fear. One part of you longs for direction, meaning, and a life that actually feels like yours. Another part is scared of loss of judgment, of regret, of waking up in a future you cannot control. So you keep walking, but often in circles, repeating old moves because they feel familiar, even when they no longer fit. In Jung-style language, the paths are symbols of your inner map. The straight path of one shows the builder who chooses safety at the cost of aliveness. The blue path of two shows the seeker who knows their real direction but keeps vanishing into other people's plans. The burning road of three reveals the warrior who believes only struggle proves worth. The green cave of four belongs to the treasure hunter who senses a deeper life but hesitates at the doorway. The pink path of five belongs to the soul that is ready to transform, yet still clings to old routines like a lifeboat. Different archetypes, but the same core pattern: avoidance of wholeness. You let one part of you drive while the others ride in the trunk. Pop psychology would call this fear of change, fear of failure, fear of success. Jung would simply say the ego is trying to keep control while the deeper self is asking to grow. Your ego likes clear lines, familiar labels, old promises. The self sends you symbols, daydreams, synchronicities, and yes, little Jungian tests like this one to whisper you are allowed to move. Integration is not about choosing between safety and desire. It is about letting them sit at the same table so your next step is both honest and grounded. As we close this reading, I want you to notice what is happening in your body right now. Maybe there is a tightness in your chest, a small excitement, a quiet grief for time you feel you lost. Let that feeling be seen. It means something in you heard the message beneath the words. The real test starts after this video. When you stand in front of your very next decision and feel yourself reaching for the old pattern again, overworking, saying yes when you mean no, delaying the message, pretending you do not care, or shrinking your dream to make it more acceptable. In that small moment, you will remember your path and you will know you have a choice. Today, take 5 minutes to write one clear sentence that begins with the direction my life is truly asking for, and then one sentence that begins with the step I commit to taking in the next 24 hours, and then actually do that step before tomorrow. It can be as simple as sending an email, setting a boundary, researching a course, or throwing away something that belongs to a past chapter. Keep those 2 sentences where you can see them, and let them be a doorway, not a decoration. Every time you honor them, you turn the symbol of your path into something real under your feet. That is how this does not stay just a pretty image on a screen, but becomes the quiet beginning of your next chapter, the one where you stop walking in circles and start walking with yourself. If you are still here with me, it means a real part of you is ready to walk differently and not just think about it. And I want you to honor that before the day swallows you again. Comment your number and leave your name so your path does not stay only in your head, but becomes a small promise you put in the world. Write one line about what your path showed you, maybe a fear you recognized or a direction that quietly lit up, and let that sentence be your first footprint forward. If this reading made you feel even a little more understood, take a breath and press like not for me, but as a way of telling your own mind, this matters to me and I want to remember it. And if you want company, while you keep doing this gentle Jungian work, hit subscribe so we can keep meeting here and slowly rewriting your patterns together. Before you go, there is one more invitation for your intuition. Watch the next test on your screen now and notice which image pulls you first without thinking too much. That is your unconscious speaking again, and if you keep following it step by step, you will not just hear about your path, you will start walking it with both feet.